All right, letting everyone know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me see, make sure I'm not on mute. All right, we are at week 5. Yes, week 5 of the 2023 cohort. So congratulations. If you are still here, pat yourselves on the back. It is a big commitment. So congratulations for all of you who are still with us. Just a few things to cover before we get started today. There's a lot of important stuff that that Kim is going to be providing today. So Kim is back. She's never left, but she's actually facilitating the class today. All right, so we did have a few people that signed up for mentorship. I know a few people that we had a few no-shows. So I'm sure everyone knows this, but as business owners, you want to make sure that when you say you're going to be somewhere, that you're there, or that you're letting people know ahead of time, just because time is money, right? And so we just want to get that out there. For those of you who showed up or had to reschedule, awesome. Hopefully you got the information that you needed from that particular mentorship piece. There is going to be an additional option for mentorship that is going to be extended to the people that are going to be moving on to the pitch contest, the pitch competition. And so that'll be for the ones selected to actually move on to the final round. So we're going to pause for the mentorship at the moment. And then, like I said, those that are actually selected to move on to the final round, you will be provided a bit more of an extended time for the financial piece of the pitch. Thursday class is still open. So the Thursday office hours, that is still open. That being said, today we're going to go over some information on what you need to include in your pitch. Thursday hours to attend based on the information that is provided today. Next week, week 6, that's when we're going to decide during that week who is moving on to the final round. But next week, Thursday, office hours, that is actually mandatory for those that are moving on to the pitch competition. Sounds a little crazy, maybe a little mixed up. If you don't fully understand and maybe my message isn't getting across clearly, no problem. You have our contact information. Please feel free to email us. Marisol is on here as well. You folks, sorry, I'm getting better at this. I promise I am. She has been in your inbox throughout this entire cohort. So she is also a point of contact if there's anything that's being relayed right now that may be a little bit confusing. So again, next week, Thursday is mandatory. Normally it's just open office hours, but it is mandatory for those that are moving on to the actual pitch competition. All right. Kim, am I missing anything? I know we went over this before we opened the doors, but my brain just went.
I think that was everything.
Okay, awesome. If you have not done so, please rename yourself in the little participants guide. I know there's one iPhone, and I'm assuming that's probably Naya, but it could be someone else. So I don't want to assume. Please rename yourself or send us a message in the chat, and then we can go ahead and do that for you. There's a few iPhones right now that are joining the call. And I think that's it. That's all I have for today. Kim, feel free to take it away.
All right. Hello, business owners. Those of you I haven't seen in a little bit, some I saw last Thursday. I saw a question in the chat about the hours, the time for the office hours, 5:30 to 7:30 next Thursday. So I am going to share my screen and get started because I know all of you only want to know, how do I pitch and get this money? Woohoo! Everybody can see my screen? Beautiful. All right, we're gonna get started then. Pitching. I don't know how many of you have been through a pitch competition before, but I will tell you, having sat through the pitch competitions last year and the year before, it is something you want to make sure you're prepared for because that time flies. So that's why we want to start it out by saying you have to really get your arms around who you are, what you do, and who you do it for. And like that slide says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't know it well enough. You really want your pitch to be something that lands you interest from investors, can help you with your social media marketing. You also want it to be something that might get you a sale. But what you really want to understand is you want your target customers' ears to perk right up when you hear that, when they hear you speak and do that pitch, because that means they know that you are what? Solving their problem. You have the solution for their problem. And in this pitch competition, that's what the judges are looking for. How well do you communicate that to your target customer? Got questions? Just jump right in. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. Let's focus on time. Time is going to focus or feature very heavily in your pitch. And you will have, I believe we set it at 4 minutes tops. So you don't want to be going on and on and on or breaking it out so that your introduction takes up 3 minutes before you even get to the meat of the presentation. So we're going to go over tonight this whole framework for you, and we're going to make sure you have that so you're prepared, but really focus on time. Practice, 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 time yourself. You want to make sure that you are sticking to that time frame and not getting points deducted because you expanded out an explanation that really didn't add to your pitch. Grabbing that attention. You don't want to start your pitch off with this history lesson of how you came to come into business and how you've managed over 8 years in this business and just drawing it out to something that they really not interested in. You want to make sure that impact happens right away. It must be crisp. It must speak to who you are, who your business is, what your business does, and why your business does what it does. It really is simple. And this is what I want to make sure all of you understand and embrace. Nobody knows your business better than you. No one is going to be able to talk about your business better than you. I know it might seem kind of nerve-wracking to be presenting in front of a bunch of people, but at the end of the day, you are the owner of this business. So this should be easy for you to talk about what your business is, what your business does, who your business does it for. Just make it interesting. Is there questions? I thought I saw a
Yes.
name
Can you
pop
please
up.
repeat that? Can you repeat the 3 things you just said?
The 3, who your business is, what your business does, and who it does it for.
Thank you.
Sure. Other questions? Okay, moving on. Again, simplify it. Simplify it. I hear so many introductions that are trying to be unique and they end up being confusing. You want people to understand right away what it is you're trying to tell them that your business does. Because even though these people may or may not be your target customer, they actually may know your target customer. So when they hear your pitch and they hear all of these things of what you do, they then can turn around and refer you to other people based on this pitch. So you want to make sure that you can be crisp, that you can be clear, and be succinct in describing who your business is and what it does. And you're going to hear me say it over and over again, but it is so critically important that you get that right. And again, don't make it harder than it needs to be. You know this. You just have to figure out how you're going to communicate it to us. So here's how we're going to go through our pitch. We're going to start with an introduction, start with that problem, follow that with the solution, talk about who the market is for that solution, who are the other players in that space, how you've structured your business so that it solves that problem for that customer, what size your market is, because you talked before about businesses that might be good ideas, but there's just not a big enough market of people willing to pay for it. So you're going to talk about that and then wrap it up with the ask. They say, what is it? A closed mouth doesn't get fed. We have to ask for that money. So that's how we're going to end up with our pitch. Starting with number one, the introduction. Make sure you have a way of painting a picture for your audience. I'm going to try to do this example of, say you have an event space, and you don't want to just start out by saying, I'm Kimberly Mitchell, and I have an event space in Rochester, and it holds and accommodates up to 250 people. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is saying, have you ever been to a place outside of here that moment you walk in, you just feel the energy, the lights are just right, the ambiance is set, the tables are gorgeous, you just want to feel like you're ready to have a party right now. Well, I have that here in Rochester, this event space. And that's really how you want to talk about it. Paint the picture, make people see what it is you're trying to do, and make them feel like they're going to be a part of that. But these are the elements you want to include: where you're from, where the business is, what relevant work have you done before. Again, don't just say, I've serviced 2,400 customers, which would be nice, right? But talk about how you have serviced those customers. Do you have experience? What's the background that you have? But don't make that long, because the introduction is just the very first part of it. You don't want to use all your 4 minutes up in that piece. Does anybody have questions?
I don't see
All
any
right.
chat just yet.
Okay. Moving on. The big bad problem. Your problem statement should be clear that there's a problem. If I ask you, what problem does your business solve? And you say, I treat people with migraines. Well, that doesn't sound like a problem. You really want to make sure you show that you understand your target customers' problems in this section. What is happening to them and why? How did you come to know that this was happening to them? If it's from personal experience, talk about that a little bit. Talk about how you were your target customer. Then you found the solution, and now you're helping other people in that same situation. Have you validated it? Are you sure that this is in fact a problem? And if it is, you have to talk about how you know that it's a problem for a big enough a group of people that will make it a business. Again, you can't sustain yourself on the 12 people in your circle that say, yes, that's a great idea. You should start a business with that. You really want to show that you've looked around and talked to enough people that said, yes, not only is this a problem, but I believe that you can solve it. So, any questions on that one? All right, we'll move to the solution. The solution has to be probably your second biggest part of your presentation, because you want to show you're uniquely poised to solve that problem for your customer. You really want to get into what the product or service is, why it solves a problem, and how it solves the problem better than competitors. Because if you have something that just quenches thirst, well, there's probably 1,000 other products that someone could buy to quench their thirst. Why would they buy yours? Make that clear in this section. And how do you know that it will quench their thirst? What have you done to show that this is a solution to the problem? Those are the points you're going to want to hit within this section of your pitch. And make sure, again, keep it tight. You don't want to go on and on and on about that, because again, you only have a limited amount of time. Questions?
Nothing yet, but
They
we do have a
quiet.
few people that are nervous.
Don't be nervous. Think of this presentation as like the answer key. You're going to literally go one step by one step. And if you went through this and did one sentence for each point and timed it, you probably would have a very good pitch. Some places you might want to add a little bit or take away a little bit, but really it's not as hard as it sounds.
How long does the pitch need to be?
Jahida, I think we did 4 minutes last time. Didn't he maximum?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, 4 minutes,
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
Is there a
Yes.
is there a minimum or just a max?
So you want to make sure that you get your pitch across within 3 to 4 minutes. Anything below that, then you start to get points deducted.
Got it. Okay.
Good
Yeah.
question.
And all of these
And-
slides will be in the folder, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And you don't want to rush through that. This is not something you want to just try to speed through to make sure you're not over 4 minutes, because as the listeners are trying to figure out what you're trying to convey to them, you can't just blow past some important information. You want to make sure you're comfortable and confident enough when you're talking about your business that at the end, when they want to ask questions, you're okay answering those questions. So market. We talked a lot about target customer at the very beginning, but how much of a market is out there for your product or service? And this is something that can overwhelm people if you are not clear on what it is you do as a business. So this is where we're going to get into some numbers. And I know all of us love numbers as business owners, but this is where we're going to really make it part of our pitch. So you want to be able to clearly show in your pitch that there is a significant market for your product or service. This is not something that you will probably just do on the side, or that is, again, those 12 people in your circle will buy from a couple of times a year. This is something that is a sustainable business. That's what the market size research is about. And again, I don't know how many of you have done so already, but don't hesitate to go to your library. The libraries have whole sections, people, resources there to help you answer all of these questions in a way that makes sense for your business. So calculating market size, cost of your product or service times the total number of potential customers. That is the total addressable market. So if you think about, like, if I had a coffee business, my total addressable market could be in the millions, because millions of people drink coffee. So I would say that my total addressable market size is my $5 cup of coffee times however millions of people. Again, don't be overwhelmed by that. That is just the number of people I could serve with my coffee business. Does that make sense? I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, that's like $450 million. That's all right. We're going to bring that down a little bit. So our serviceable addressable market, that's called the SAM. That's the cost of your product or service times the total number of potential customers you can serve based on your business model. So let's go back to my coffee business. There are millions of people around the world. That's my total addressable market. My serviceable addressable market, I'm going to restrict to, say, just the East Coast of the United States, because I don't want to do a lot of expensive shipping around the world and across the country. So I just reduced that whole globe of people down to just the eastern side of the United States. And that's a number. That's a number that you can get, again, from your librarian, even from the internet. If you can Google if you've decided that this is the area that I want to work in, how many people in that area will use my product, could use my product or service. That is this number that you're looking for, your serviceable addressable market, your SAM. Everybody got that?
Hey, Kim, there's actually a question in the chat. Elizabeth is asking, can we compare with the yearly sales that our competitors do? So
It depends.
Elizabeth, are you asking for the SAM number?
The SAM and the CAM, because see, like I'm comparing my business with Sabra and how much Sabra does per yearly, yearly as it sells. So just my question.
So is the question, when you say, can you compare it?
Yeah, like get the numbers from what our customers, from my competitor, how much my competitor it's selling to their customers as
Yeah,
a
if you
base
know-
number of mine.
If you know that information, you can. You typically cannot get that if your competitors are small private owned businesses, because they don't have to publish that information. But if you have a way of getting that information, you absolutely can.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on this one?
Kiosha asked, see, can you give an example of what an answer to this question would be? It says, I have a service-based business that I provide online. Kiosha, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, sure. So I know you're talking about coffee and things like that, but I have a service that I actually provide as like a coaching service. So I know that, like, when you talk about the market, previously I was just marketing to women, but I made a pivot to only market to moms. So for this market, it created a larger, I guess, audience for me that actually wanted my service. So I'm just trying to get an idea of how this slide would look for me. Could I provide stats that show, because just over the past 90 days, I've gained over like 8,000 followers just from changing my market to moms. So is that something that I could provide that would show that my market is looking for what I have?
It is, but you want to, when you're looking at this slide, you're trying to figure out, based on your business model, where do you plan to serve your customers? Is all of your coaching done online?
So it is done online, but I also do in-person events as well.
So then your serviceable addressable market is geographically anywhere in the world,
Mhm.
but from a target customer standpoint, you would still want to know moms in the world, but are there certain aspects of motherhood? Is it moms of infants? Is it moms of teenagers? Is it moms of boys? Is it what specifically about moms is it that you can use to really hone in on that target customer and identify this serviceable addressable market?
Okay. I guess I just don't, do you have like an example of what someone would put on their slide or what they would say? I guess I just don't like, I understand when you're saying like the coffee and you multiply that by, you know, the market for people in coffee, but I just think for service-based business, it's just a little bit, well, a lot bit different actually. So I'm just confused, you know what I mean?
Well, it's not really, because you have still have a cost of your service. You
Mhm.
still charge your customers something. And I would say take that, if you have, say, like 3 different packages you offer to moms, take the average price of that as this first piece, the cost of your product or service. And then you're going to multiply that by the total number of potential customers you can have. And again, that's going to be a big number because there's a lot of moms in the world.
Mhm.
But that's where I say you really should make it clear what it is you use as a criteria to kind of really focus that in. Moms is huge, but I'm sure that there are some moms that just don't fit your business model. Who are the ones that do? And that's what you're going to multiply that cost of service by.
Okay.
That makes sense?
But it's okay. I'll figure it out. Sorry.
So, all right, you can't, I should say, when you say moms, that's a very broad term. And
Well, I mean, in my
especially-
messaging, I'm very specific with moms that are struggling with survival mode, moms that are struggling with managing their emotions. But I guess I just can't put a number to how many moms, because I mean, a lot of moms are struggling with that, right? But it's just about the moms that are aware that they are struggling. So,
okay, so here's what you would do in that situation. Just like to go back to my coffee example, there might be people who don't like a certain bean of my coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I'm making that up. But so this is not meant to shrink it down to the hundreds, if you will. This number is still going to be in the millions, especially when you're thinking of moms. Even if you say the number of new moms, you know, you can look that up in the library to see how many people are having, like, the average birth rate in a year of how many people are having babies. That's your SAM, because those people could potentially be your customer. This still is the potential, my serviceable addressable market. Based on my business model, these are about the number of people that I can serve.
got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
May I add something to potentially help Kiosha?
Sure.
Okay, so I also have a service-based business. I am a nutrition coach. My target market obviously is people who want to lose weight, but that's extremely broad. Specifically, I have the most success with people who have tried restrictive diet programs and have failed. So what I would do in terms of looking at my number is looking up the statistics on how many people maybe in the last 5 years have, or, you know, any kind of time period. I would look up the number of people who have done, you know, Weight Watchers and Noom and all of those different weight loss programs, things that are my competitors, you know,
those types of, how many people have done the keto diet, because that's a really big thing for me. And I know that, you know, those people who have done those things would be my ideal customer. So besides the people
Absolutely.
that niche market, those are absolutely the people that I'm targeting. Now, I also
Right.
have an application process for my services. But in, you know, not everybody truly qualifies. So I could break it down even further and say how many of my applicants are true, you know, what percentage of my applicants are true ideal candidates, and multiply it out by the number of people who have completed, you know, like Jenny Craig, that actually exist. But if that helps at all, you can see, you know, how many moms have put their kids into therapy, how many moms have checked their own selves into therapy, how many moms have completed, you know, prenatal parenting programs or something of that nature. So when you look at the other services that your target market accesses, that could help you figure out a number of how many people are actually going for a service that you would be ideally providing for them.
That was super
And-
helpful. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good, good. And I would caution you though, for this particular slide, you still want to keep it a little broad. We're gonna dial it down in the next slide. And that's really where you want to focus in on that target customer.
I have a question about what she just said. Would it only be the people who are actively seeking out a solution for their problem, or would it be everyone who has the problem, even if they're not seeking out a solution?
For the serviceable, addressable market, even if they're not seeking a solution. This
Okay,
is-
perfect.
This is, my business model serves this group of people.
Got it.
So if you think about it, your TAM is probably based on like your product or service, so coaching. Your TAM, your SAM is, this is the number of people that are based on my business model. And my business model is coaching around trauma and therapy. This next one is where you're going to get into a tighter number. Your SOM, serviceable, obtainable market. And that's the key here. The key here is this is the number of percentage of customers you could realistically capture. Now, realistically capture is not just based on the number of people who are moms and who have sought therapy. It's how many can you based on your business model, can you service? And that I would say take that to a year. So if it's just you and you have, each customer takes, say, 8 hours, or not 8 hours, 2 hours a day between the actual session and the follow-up and any additional support things you have to do for each client. So each client takes 2 hours of your day, and you know that you can service X amount of customers in a week based on the amount of time you have in a week. What does that look like across a year? Does that make sense?
I see Elizabeth has her hand up. Elizabeth, did you want to come off mute?
Yes, can I put that percentage number? While I was selling on the farmers markets, I did my research market about how many new customers I should attract with are trying our spread deep, and I have an 84% of new customers that they'll try and they'll buy the product. So can I add that and put it in
Oh,
to
absolutely.
it?
You can. I would put that in a separate, because your TAM, your SAM, your SOM is
Yeah.
really kind of like meant to kind of give you that dialed down look that shows you start here, you're breaking it down here, and you're breaking it down here. And this kind of is where your meat is. And then on another slide, you really can talk about how you dig into that particular level. That makes sense.
Thank you.
Sure.
I see someone else has their hand up, Alice. And yeah, Alice.
Yes, hello. If I create things, my business is creating handmade crafting. The potential customer, the percent is gonna be how many pieces I could create in a day.
Don't do it for a day. I would spread that out to a year.
For
So
a
you
year.
take that day, multiply that by the number of days you intend to work. Make sure when you're thinking about that, you're thinking about vacation for yourself, your days off, your all the things that you would normally do instead of saying it's 365 days a year.
Mhm.
But I would make it a year.
In my case, instead of person, it's gonna be pieces of craft that I create, right?
You're making something handmade, you have a product. You
Mhm.
would be the number of potential, you still would have customers, you still would have people who purchase that. So as a customer, I might buy 2 or 3 of your products. So how much you really, this is, again, still is the dialed down version, but it's still a broader term than you really want to get into your target customer. You don't want to get so granular in this section because this is your serviceable, obtainable market. And this is that comfortable number. The TAM and your SAM are big, scary numbers. You're like, how in the world am I going to get 40 million people? But this one might be 8,000 people, 12,000 people. You know,
Okay.
this is still based on your customers, not your product.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm still not clear how we would find out what will be a realistic number of customers we can capture.
What's your product or service?
Health products.
Is it's actual products?
Yes.
So again, you go to the library, they can tell you exactly how many people in your area or of service, where it is you determine how far and wide you want to service customers. Go back to my coffee example, I had the world as a TAM, and I broke that down and said, I really don't want to ship around the world. I just want to do on the eastern side of the US. And then from there, I can shrink it down to say only people who drink caffeinated coffee on the eastern seaboard. You can get that information directly from the library. So I'm not sure how your product fits that, but it's, if you sell an energy drink, then you can see right from the library, they can tell you how many people have purchased or who typically buy energy drinks in the world. Then you can bring it down to the United States. And I'm not sure how you want to, based on your business model, bring that down to say, people who drink energy drinks that are in coffee. I don't know why I keep going with coffee. I don't drink coffee, but something like that. However you want to bring that down to your business model would be this SOM calculation.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Sure, but that's all readily available information at the library and probably on the internet. I just don't know where to search, a specific search for that, what website, but it's definitely available through the databases at the library.
I see Lathanette has her hand up. Lathanette, you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I went to the library. I went to the library. And I do get it. I hear everybody's questions and concerns. And I went to the library, just for a quick example, there's like 6,552 businesses in the city of Buffalo and surrounding areas that would require drug and alcohol testing. Alone in the city of Buffalo, there was like 5,000 opportunities, and USA Occupational Services has like 4 I don't call them competitors. It's my personal traits of language. I call them other team players, which would be HealthWorks, Quest, and LabCorp. But we rank #1. Why? Because of our location and the timing that we offered services. With those customers, with us being available, we can only handle probably 10% of that business, or maybe 20. Why? Because of our staff. And the other thing is our goal. Our goal is to make $5,000, let's say, a day. So in order for us to do that, we already knew we had to sell so many urine tests, so many hair tests, so many DNA tests, and so many fingerprinting tests each day to make that goal, or to make the goals for the week. And with that type of clientele, or that probability within the city of Buffalo, Niagara County, and Chautauqua County, Erie County, it behooves us only to market to those businesses. That's how I came up with that.
Perfect. That's perfect. That is perfect. And now I would say to you, with my business hat on, you need to be looking at what's my next step to scale up, because you sounds like you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table by
Right.
having all that.
That's where I
business.
am, with all that opportunity. That's why that's really reason why I wanted to do this, because I need to learn two things: how to market. Second thing, how to overcome my fear to market. So those are my two barriers. Because I believe once I do it, it would be an amazing door that I open for myself, not for nobody else. Will open it for me. I will open it for myself. And before you know it, I'll be pivoted into another phase of this industry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
We have another hand up. Jaslyn, you want to come off mute?
Yes, this question is for Lathanette. I'm sorry, is that how you pronounce your name? I know when you were supposed to reach out a long time, I was supposed to reach out to you. So I didn't know you do background checks.
We do
background checks. You handle all that?
Oh, we handle all of that. Yes, we do.
That's good to know. Okay.
Yep. So feel free. You can still call me. We're still at 327 Niagara. Our phone number has not changed.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See how that works. Talk about what you do and how you do it and who you do it for. Somebody, that target customer ears just start itching on the side. Any other questions?
I don't see it in the chat. I did get kicked out for a second. So if I have missed your question, please go ahead and put it in the chat again, and we will definitely get to that.
All right, so then I'm gonna slide on to the next slide.
Sorry, I see one hand. Jacqueline, did you want to come off mute, Jacqueline? No, Jacqueline? All right, Jacqueline may be having some technical issues, so we will come back to that after the next slide.
Before we move on, could I had put a question in the chat earlier that had to kind of do with the looking for statistics and all that. So I was wondering, like, when it comes to my business, because it's kink based, I doubt that I'll be able to really get like information on what other like kink and BDSM clubs are in the area, because I doubt that they don't usually record things like that and all that for,
Just one quick second. I would say check first, because business is business. Even kink-based businesses need to generate revenue. So they need to know competitors. They need to know the size of their market. They need to know all the same things that any other business needs to know. So you might want to double check that before you just say right off the bat that you probably won't find it.
Well, I can understand that, but like when I say other kink-based businesses, I mean like not just like there are like kink clubs out there that are operating, you know, above board as a kink or BDSM themed nightclub or something like that. But what I'm doing is more along the lines of like a community thing, like with like memberships that way. And I feel like it's more comparable to like maybe, I guess, Rochester Kink Society or TAG or whatever like that. And I know that like some of them will have like they'll have like the building registered and stuff like that, but they'll have it under a different name or something so that it's not flagged by people that might want to shut them down, things like that. So like, you know, like if that's the case, like if I have a hard time finding that, would I then kind of like default to maybe like the like statistics on what type of kinky community we have? Like can I be like 70% of Rochester is kinky, like, you know, like, or like 80% of Buffalo, Rochester is LGBTQ? Yeah.
I'm just gonna cut you off for a second here, just so Kim can kind of respond to the question, just because we're going over time a little bit. So just, thank you.
Sure. I would say that rather than focus on the kink aspect, if you have trouble finding that, then I would shift over to the LGBTQ plus description and see what you can find there that will correlate to what your business does. Because the market, any business, regardless of the clientele, it has to generate revenue. And if it's generating revenue, it has to go through these same steps. It's just no way around it.
Okay.
Good.
All right, we just have one more question. Renika, you want to come off mute and ask your question? I know, Jacqueline, we were having some trouble with you unmuting. So if you can go ahead and put your question in the chat and we'll get to that. In the meantime, Renika.
Yep. Just a quick question. Will this pitch be in person or will it be during Zoom? Because I think the presentation will be different. So I'm just curious.
Everything is virtual.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Kim, we can go ahead.
I'm so sorry, guys. Before we continue, did Jacqueline still have a question? She needed me to unmute her.
Jacqueline, are you?
Okay, yes. 1 second. Okay, I just requested that you unmute yourself, Jacqueline, so maybe it'll work.
Okay, Jacqueline, go ahead and just put your question in the chat, please, so we can kind of move forward.
Okay, so once you have that, just toss that out. This slide just talks a little bit about some things to consider when you're thinking of your TAM, your SAM, and your SOM. You want to, first of all, I would say, don't be scared of that big, crazy number. Your TAM is gonna be a big, crazy number, and that's okay. That's what you want it to be as a business, because if you're starting with a number that's here in your TAM and you're shrinking it down, you're going to get down to where your business really doesn't seem like it has a place to grow. So don't be afraid of that big number with your TAM. Your SAM and your SOM, being a subset of that big number, are also going to be fairly big. And that's okay. You're going to be able to address that in a later part of your presentation, because your numbers do matter, and you'll be able to show where you're going to get and target that percentage of your customer base. And again, if you're selling online, you've got the world. It's really where you decide to ship. You decide where you want your business to operate. You decide who you want your market to be. And that's what we're looking for in this pitch, that you've done that research, that you have made those business decisions. Who's my customer and how big is that market? Any questions on that?
I see Marie has her hand up. Marie, you want to come off mute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. Um, my question is, we had spoke before and I was having difficulty with trying to figure out how to put my business as. I do have a brand, I have a consultant agency where I do marketing, but I came to niche it down as Brandon, and I also included a package where it's a travel agency where we teach you how to how we teach you how to brand while going out of state, you know, on social media to look proper for your profile and all. So I'm still having like a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out like how I would like pitch that and put that in one, especially when it comes to researching. I did several research and I found that there's like people are looking for businesses like that, like a travel agent / Brandon. I'm not sure if you understand me, if I sound discombobulated.
Well, I remember it, but I'm trying to remember how you're bringing these two things together, because if you are looking at doing branding for travel, specifically for travel agencies, that's one thing. If you're looking at branding like an independent travel agent, home-based travel agent, that's a different thing. So talk to me a little bit more about what that looks like for your business.
Okay, so my business, I have my LLC and everything in branding and in marketing. So I did come to realize that I love branding. So I teach businesses, entrepreneurs, people alone how to brand. And I came to niche it down and I figured it out like, okay, to not seem all over the place, since I'm also a travel agent, to include that as a package. Because we had spoke before, you had informed me that I need to start creating certain, services where I'm able to make sales off of like templates whatsoever. So now with the travel agency, I wanted to do like certain resorts where nurses, correction officers, just people in general that just work, you understand? And I wanted to show them like how to utilize that trip and brand off of it on social media for their brand. If they have their side business, or if they don't even have a side business, sometimes people just don't know how to, fix themselves properly on social media.
Okay, so I think I understand that. And I would say your business is branding. So that's really what you're looking at, regardless of whether it's for personal branding or business branding right now. Your total addressable market is people who need branding. And then you're going to bring that down a little bit to say, of all these people who need branding, what is it about my business that kind of shrinks that down a little bit? And I would say you are going to have to think of even like a size, people who would be willing to spend $150 a month on branding. How many does that bring that down to?
Okay.
And then based on that, if you want to specifically do social media branding, then you're going to bring that down again.
Okay.
But you're starting with branding because that's your business.
Yes. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for your question, Marie. There was a question in the chat. Tiambra asks, what are trade agreements?
that's exactly what it is. US has a trade agreement with another country. So when you're talking about a global population, there are certain places like, remember Cuba, we could not do any business with Cuba. You can't bring Cuban cigars back if you go there without them getting confiscated. Don't ask me how I know. So I'm saying that's exactly what they're talking about. If the US allows you to do commerce with these other countries.
Okay, thank you. All right, so Jacqueline, we have it. We have the question in the chat. There we go. It says, if my target audience is different from the audience, fashion brands. Oh, wait a minute. Fashion brands who will benefit from it, families in need. How will that be worded in a marketing sentence or in a marketing sense? Example, proceeds from my products go to assist a specific market.
Then I'm not quite sure. Is this the where you have your son's t-shirts that you sell as the for-profit, but then you give a percentage to the nonprofit? Is that
That's
what you're talking?
Seems like.
So in that situation, the business is the t-shirts, not the nonprofit. So what you do with the profit from this business is totally separate. It's not what's included in this pitch. The pitch is about the for-profit business. Does that help?
Okay. Okay. I believe we were on the right track because you said, yes, it does help. Okay, great. All right. Last, I see another hand up. Shantae?
Yes, hello. Question. So my business is entitled Moms Can Talk, where I help moms that have lost their children or moms that are going through grief, because I experienced that. But as though that's my target audience is for moms, but I've been paid more from businesses that hire me. So who would I pitch? Who am I like pitching it to? Like, I'm helping moms, but moms are not paying me. More businesses are hiring me to come to talk to moms. Schools are hiring me to come to talk to moms who may have had a child that's killed or passed away or something like that. So I only have maybe 1 or 2 actual clients as parents that have contacted me, but I'm more outside. Businesses are more contacting me to come talk in like a group setting. So how do I pitch and market that, even though moms are who I'm trying to help?
Well, that's the situation of a customer and a consumer. The customer is the person that's paying you. The consumer is the person who's actually using the product or service. And I often use the example of a kid's toy. If you make a kid's toy, the parent is going to purchase it. So the parent is the customer, but it's the kid that's going to play with it. So in your situation, your customer is whatever business that hires you for your talking to their moms, the consumers. Do you have an idea of what the profile is of the type of business that would hire you?
Yes. Let me see. My profile, it would be, I've been like homeless shelters where moms are that have lost children. Funeral homes have contacted me to reach out to these people. A lot of funeral homes have contacted me, even other life coaches that have not been in the grieving stage of it. They've contacted me. So it's more of businesses and not technically moms, because moms, we don't have extra money to pay me. That's the issue. We don't have money I don't have the money to give you $50 a session or to do this, but businesses have money and they can have a group setting of 12 moms and I can distribute my curriculum out to them and we can work it out that way. So now when I'm sitting in this class, it's like, wait, I think it just changed. It didn't go from moms. Like, my target audience is not the moms, it's the businesses. Thank you. See?
Yes, and that's really all you have to do is sit down, and your TAM and your SAM and your SOM doesn't have to be like one individual entity. So you just mentioned schools and homeless shelters and coaches that funeral homes, those, add all of those together. That's part of your total addressable market. Those are all people who could realistically hire you.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so I do see two other hands up, but so we see Lathanette and Kareen. We're gonna get to you right after the next slide.
All right. Competitors. Everybody has them. Everybody. And if you're not addressing them in your pitch, it's going to be a large gaping hole for people to ask a lot of questions that you won't be able to answer if you haven't done the research. You absolutely have to know who your competitors are and what they're doing. I have worked with so many people that when I say, what makes you better than your competitors, they say, I give better service. My customer service is better. Well, if you don't even know who your competitors are, how do you know that you're better than them? How do you know that the service that you're giving is better than the service that they're giving rather? You have to know the details of your competitors and make that part of how you're describing what makes your business better. Who are they? Why are they a competitor? I had a business that was one person that did it part-time and thought that their main competitor was Walmart. Not so much. Not so much. You probably have dozens of customers between you and Walmart, dozens of competitors between you and Walmart that you really need to start addressing and who they are and what they do. Again, your competitor could be nothing. Part of owning a business and getting those customers is making someone change from who they're already getting that problem solved by, or taking action to solve the problem, because some people just go, it's a problem, I'm just gonna suck it up, live with it, deal with it, and do nothing. That's part of your competition. You are, first and foremost, a customer. You were a customer long before you were ever a business owner. Don't forget what that mindset is. Don't forget how that works. Business is business, whether it's a service business, a product business, an established business, a new business. Business is business. You all have competitors, you all were customers. Think about how you're going to describe in your pitch what makes you better, more unique than your customer. How you take care of your competitor. How you take care of your customers better than your competitors. Does anybody have a question on that?
So I'll actually go back. I know we had 3 hands up. So Kareen, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Hello.
Okay. Hello. I just had a question because I don't really have an issue with marketing so much. I feel like I'm reaching a good audience. My issue is I don't have the finances or the actual product to provide for the marketing that I'm doing. So like I'm getting customers and I'm getting people who are interested in my services, but I don't have the funds to provide the services. So like I'm doing great at the marketing, so I'm getting the people. It's just being able to actually service them is my issue. And then I'm good with accounting and good with managing my whatever I do get, but it becomes overwhelming. So trying to figure out the books to get the financing to work for the amount of customers I'm getting, it's going around in a cycle of I don't know like what to do at this point, because I'm getting the customers, I just don't have what I need to provide it for the customer, to provide for them.
Can I ask what the business is?
Yes, so I'm a private chef. So my business is Caribbean cuisine. So it's for anyone who's hungry, which is for the most part, or interested in Caribbean food, which is usually a lot of people. But because it's just me and I've started, it's starting to expand more. I'm at the point where I'm getting again the customers. It's being able to provide for the customers is becoming the issue for me, because it's just me and it's been just me providing the financing and everything.
Is the financing issue a scaling issue? In other words, say you're able to provide meals for 12 customers and you are totally booked with 12 customers, but you've got 20 more in the queue waiting for you. Or you're saying that you have 12 customers and you don't have the money to service the 12 customers?
So example would be because I don't have an actual location, I go to the client's location to make the food. But for instance, I did a catering job for the University of Buffalo. But because it was just me, I was able to contact the Broadway Market and I set up a situation where I used it for a few hours. I made all the food that I needed for that catering job and I was able to deliver it and drop it off to UB, and that was that. But I guess it would be when I work there and do pop-ups at the market, it's a give and take. I don't know what customers are going to actually come in and buy. Sometimes when I pop up, I completely sell out, and sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 customers. So I'll try to, I guess, scale it where I would hope that I'm gonna sell out, but the times that I don't, it's pretty much food not wasted, because I mean we eat it, but as far as I'm not getting
from a
the
business
income
standpoint
back from what I've put out for, and it's expensive because I get oxtail and things like, so I'm trying to get the good quality food, which is why I'm getting the consistent customers, but being able to keep up with the cost of the food and being able to provide it is becoming the issue for me, having that foundation.
I would say you should fine tune your business model, if I'm understanding you correctly. Because when you say you're a private chef and you have the customers, that to me would mean you have the private customers versus the pop-up walk-up customers. And if you are servicing private customers, that should be pretty easy because they would pay a deposit for this meal that you're going to prepare, which would be what you would use for the ingredients, and then you're preparing it and charging appropriately for the preparation of that meal. So I would say if you're losing money or you're not figuring out how to break even, it might be related to the pop-ups, which should not be the majority of your business because it is so unpredictable. But to alleviate some of that unpredictability, focus on those ones where you sell out. Why did you sell out? What did you serve? Was it the time of day? Was it the location? Was it a well-marketed pop-up versus another one? Focus on when it does go right, what are the elements of that? And then just repeat that.
Okay. And I think maybe I need to, because I've had like short-term clients as far as like doing the private chef thing. So like we'll have a certain time frame of when I'll be doing it. Like I've done it for like a month, and then they're like, okay, that was great. And then I kind of have to look for another contract. So in between time, that's when I do like the pop-up. So I guess I would have to, like you said, fine tune it to focus more on the actual private chef plans and not so much of I guess thinking of like, okay, what is my backup when these people don't contact me for these plans?
Correct.
Focus more on the packages. Okay.
Correct. And if people are being one and done, you need to know why that is the case as well.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
they do a month and not renew it for another month, you need to know why, and then adjust accordingly.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for the question, Kareem.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
So I know typically what we would have got all right, English is not my friend today. Typically by this time, we would have already taken our break. I know there were two people that had their hands up, Lathanette and Ronika. So I'll say both of you, we'll go with Lathanette first, because I believe that's the hand that was up first. Everyone else, if you want to go ahead and take your 15 minutes, was it 10 minutes? 15? 15. Okay. So if you want to go ahead and take your 15-minute break, feel free to do so. You can just turn your camera off and stay online so that you don't have any connection problems when you try to jump back in. Or if you want to just listen in as we answer the next two questions, please feel free to do so. But I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody wants to step away, take a drink of water, whatever the case is. So Lathanette, did you want to come off?
Just real quick, I didn't really have a question. I was listening to the young lady that supports moms and coaches moms and has that business. Congratulations to you. That's awesome. The thing that stood out in my mind was you are really a business to business entrepreneur, and your B2C, which is your business to your consumer, your customer, is your secondary. So yeah, go for your business to your B2B, and you can do this. I hear it in you. You are a business to business woman, and the business to customer is your secondary. That's just in my estimation of it, but congratulations.
Nice.
Thank you, Lathanette. We always appreciate the positive feedback for our cohort participants. This is very much a difficult journey to be on, and everyone should know that you are not alone. So anybody that you have by your side that can, keep pushing you forward, keep them there if they are beneficial. All right, Ronika, did you want to come off mute and ask your question? I know you had your hand up earlier.
No, it was a mistake. Thank you.
Oh, okay. No problem. All right. Everyone else, again, if you want to take this time to step away, drink water, some snacks, feel free to do so. Or if you have a question right now that you want to maybe, that you'd like to ask, and maybe we've missed it from early on, please feel free to go ahead and ask. You can, Joy, did you have a question?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
Relative to the presentation, is it going to be visual as well as us presenting? And if so, do you have any words as to how we should handle the slide presentation?
When you say visual, you're going to be presenting.
Is it just going to be us, or are we going to be showing slides like you're showing slides?
You'll be showing slides.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any advice
on
how we would handle that?
So don't panic. We can send you out just kind of a template that you're seeing on the slides that we're showing for this course. You can customize them however you'd like, if you want to change it to your colors, but at least so you can have something to start off from if you've never created slides before. Some tips. Do not put the kitchen sink in the slides. So, just think of it as like notes, right? If you have an index card, you want to just almost like bullet point some of this information. Because the reason you want to make sure that you're not doing like word for word is because people are then going to be reading along with you and not actually see you or hearing what you're saying, right? So the same way Kim does an amazing job of going through these slides, right? If all you're doing is skimming this slide, you know that it says, who are your competitors? What makes them a competitor? What makes you better, right? Because it stands out. There's a bit of hierarchy in the way that you actually create the slide. So you just kind of want to do that. Make sure that there's some visuals, a little bit of text, but really you as the business owner are going to be describing what is happening on the slide, the most pertinent information that you want the audience to hear.
Okay, thank you.
Does that?
And also,
Does.
if you want to schedule a time to practice the technical part of opening Zoom, sharing a screen, progressing through your slide, you let me know and I can make myself available for that. For
Wonderful.
any of you. Because I know we had some challenges last time where people just weren't comfortable and weren't familiar with sharing a screen and going through slides.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Sure.
That is good point, Kim. So one thing that we kind of reiterated last year was that you're going to want to practice as much as possible. We know that sometimes we can be the greatest with technology and that day it just decides not to work. Do not panic. That happens. It's happened to all of us more than once. So just keep in mind that that may happen to you. But really you want to just make sure that the information that you have on the slides, you know it like the back of your hand, right? Like you're not going to get surprised by your own slide, right? So as long as you continuously practice, it will get better. And I know a few people mentioned that they are nervous. That is also very normal. But the more you practice, the more you kind of get used to the information that you're providing, the easier it is going to be. Another thing, you want to, and I know Kim has kind of gone through this throughout the past sessions, you want to be able to describe your business in a way that a 5-year-old could essentially understand what you do. The minute you start backpedaling or, kind of going around in circles, you've lost people. So really think, how can I simplify what my business is, who we service, why we service them, things like that. That is going to be, all the what is it, the glitz and glamour, like that's not what it's about, right? You want, at the end of the day, you want the judges to know when it's time to score your pitch, they remember, okay, this is what the business does. This is why they do it. They're tam, sam, sam. Is it a viable business, things like that. And we do have a few hands up, and let me see. In the chat, the competition is on the 25th of April. So it is a Tuesday, still the same time. It'll start at 5 o'clock. You'll definitely get more emails about, if you want to share, family, friends, have them join. You'll get more information about that, but it is the 25th of April on a Tuesday. And then let me see. All right, Monique, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yes, I was actually putting it in the chat. So is there a set number of participants that you guys already have for the pitch competition? And how will we know if we are one of the selected people for the pitch competition?
So that's a good question. Last year, we selected 10 business owners to pitch their business. We're thinking it's going to be the same amount this year. So we'll notify you by mid next week if you are moving on to the next round. So basically what will happen is everyone will get these slides. You'll then tailor them to fit, your business, like your business information. And then next week we'll start, first you have to sign up for the pitch preparation, right? We've had it be that everyone that comes to the session, not everyone necessarily signs up for the actual pitch competition, and that is okay, right? It's not mandatory. If you want to compete for the money, feel free. If you don't and you just want to get the experience of doing this, then that's also fine. So basically what will happen is we'll have a list of people that are interested in pitching. We'll then see your pitch and kind of give you some feedback. And kind of based on that, then we'll follow up with you by like mid next week, basically saying, okay, these are the people that are going to be moving on to the final round.
So
Does
there's a
that-
second round and you have to submit your pitch deck before going to the final selection? Is
I'm
what
sorry, say
understanding?
that again. I missed a few of the words you said.
So do we submit like a pitch deck in a semi-final round? And then once you guys see our pitch, you'll narrow it down to the 10 for the final round?
So you will be submitting your pitch deck as well as doing your actual pitch. So let's just say after today's class, you decide, okay, I want to participate in the pitch competition. You'll sign up for the competition. The link will be provided towards the end of today's class. And then you have to come next week prepared with your pitch deck ready. And then we'll have kind of a list of, okay, who's whatever number in line you are, and then you'll go ahead and do your pitch. So part of that, and I know it sounds very like a short amount of time, which it really is, which is why we do the office hours. So basically, if you could have this stuff ready for Thursday is really going to be where you're going to have the most benefit, right? Because you're going to have an opportunity to have your pitch heard. You're going to get feedback from there and say, okay, maybe leave this out, put this in, fine tune this, so that Tuesday, when you actually do your pitch, then it'll be, closest to the final pitch that you would provide. Does that make sense?
What exactly is a pitch deck? I don't understand that word, the pitch deck.
Pitch deck. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna
Sorry.
answer for the.
Go ahead, Monique.
It's about 75% clear, but I'm still confused. You said if we come in on Thursday, like 2 days away, Thursday, and have our pitch ready by then,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
so that we can pitch on Tuesday.
Right. So basically Thursday, you're going to want to, and I'll kind of go in with the deck, right? So thank you, Maida. Pitch deck is the slides, right? You'll have a few slides, essentially like the slides we're going over today. That's essentially a pitch deck, right? It's going to have your business information on there. So maybe there's one slide that says your TAM, SAM, and SOM, like these are your numbers, right? Another slide could be, this is my target market, so that's why we're sending the slides out to you, because you can actually use this and then just tailor it to your business. So don't panic. You do not have to be a designer. You can just edit this and feel free to keep it moving. That's okay. So that's what a pitch deck is, for anyone that was confused about that. In terms of having everything ready for Thursday, you want to have it as close as possible to being finished, right? Because if Thursday was the last possible day for us to say, all right, it's do or die, right? Like you're either going to make it to the final round or not. You basically want to have your pitch deck and your pitch itself as polished as possible. Thursday, which yes, is in 2 days, that's going to be the opportunity for you to kind of just practice it. You're going to be like, this is my pitch. These are my slides. Here's my pitch. 3 to 4 minutes, you present. And then based on that, you'll get feedback and you'll say, okay, I know I need to, my pitch was supposed to be between 3 to 4 minutes. I went 7 minutes. Well, now that right there would technically disqualify you, right? So now you think about, okay, what did I say? Where did I go off? And what can I cut out? So Thursday is important because it's going to give you the opportunity to really get the feedback that you need, so that when you pitch on Tuesday, you are, again, as close as possible to having like that final presentation. Does that make more sense? Oh, I see oh no. You
All
put
right, is there a way that maybe at the end of class, one of us, I'm sure one of us already have a pitch deck put together, could give an example? Or that's not fair?
An example of a pitch deck or
Yeah,
of
like in a, yeah,
pitch?
like I have a pitch deck, you know? So
Mhm.
someone could, so they could get an idea, so that way Thursday they could.
Yeah, I mean, feel free. You all, there was a sheet that went out previously, in terms of, if you wanted to communicate with each other. I mean, feel free to share resources, Jocelyn, if you want
Yeah.
to share a pitch deck that you have. I mean, you guys, you folks do not have to use the pitch deck that I have here. Like that, this is just, again, here's a resource, do with it what you'd like. But if you want to use someone else's, that's fine. The most important thing is that the information that we're asking you to have on the pitch is there, right? That's it. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but yes, just make sure that the most relevant information that we're asking for is on there, because that is the criteria that the judges will be judging you on. So if you decide to leave stuff out because you're like, well, I don't think this is important, I'm telling you right now, it is important. So please have the slides with that information on it. Okay. All right. Maida, I know you've had your hand up for a while.
So, Miss Kimberly, in terms of the competitors, you mentioned something about the sample with Walmart. In my case, one of my competitors will be the insurance companies. So this is a huge company, because I'm targeting the business owners that can afford medical insurance for their employees. So do I need to go down in terms of competitors, or just provide like a percentage of business owners that doesn't have medical insurance for their employees, and target those and don't consider I don't know if I'm making the right question, but I'm just curious, how can I put myself without putting insurance companies, because the scale is more bigger than the one that I'm going to target?
Well, if you could clarify something for me, because you started out by saying that insurance companies were your competitors, but your service is for business owners who cannot afford insurance. So how are insurance companies, what makes insurance companies your competitors?
Good question. Okay. Yeah, it's because I'm trying to, the way the market works is that if they have the traditional benefit package for their employees, they're going to attract more employees or have more engagement. So I'm trying to say, not necessarily let's work more on the wellness side without using an insurance company and offer that.
Your competitor is someone who offers the same product or service that you do, for your target customer.
Okay.
In the same way. So your competitor would be, if I'm understanding you correctly, would be someone else who offers an alternative to an insurance package, an employee benefit package through an insurance company.
Okay.
What are some other ways that business owners provide benefits to their employees? Those would be your competitors, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Maida. All right, we have 2 more hands up, and then we can get back to the slides. Ronika, did you want to come off mute?
Yes, I just have a quick question. Who are the judges?
So we have a few people from Citizens, because Citizens is the sponsor. So we're going to have a few people from Citizens. Our executive director from the Enterprise Center at Pastone will be one of the judges. And I think there's, oh, and obviously Kim is one of the judges as well. So there's going to be 4, 2 from Citizens, 1 from Pastone, and then we have Miss Kim.
Oh my God, Miss Kim, don't judge us too hard now.
I love y'all, for real.
All right, Jaslyn, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
I'm sorry, I just forgot to put my hand down.
Oh, okay. All right, let me just make sure we're not missing any questions in the chat. So I know there was, Maida, I do see your hand up. I will call on you in just, oh, okay, never mind. Let me see. I know there was some confusion about Thursday class. I just want to hopefully clarify that. So again, today, towards the end of today's class, we'll provide the sign up link for those that want to participate in the pitch competition. In 2 days, which is Thursday. It is not mandatory to attend the office hours. However, it's highly recommended for you to attend Thursday's office hours, because that is where you are going to have the opportunity to do your pitch. So you will show your slides and you will present your 3 to 4 minute pitch presentation. Based on that, Kim will provide you with some feedback on how to, tidy things up. Even if you think you got this in the bag, you may not have it in the bag. Just humor us. I would say attend Thursday. You might find that Kim provides you some feedback that really, really solidifies the pitch for you. So that is this Thursday. Again, not mandatory, highly recommended though. On Tuesday, so next Tuesday, which is week 6, whoever signed up for the pitch competition will be presenting their pitch. That means their slides need to be done and they will present their verbal 3 to 4 minute pitch. So that means you're going to be sharing your screen. You're going to go through your own slides. You're going to present your pitch. The same way Kim goes through the slides and provides the information for these sessions. That's essentially what you're going to do, but just obviously in a very compressed version, 3 to 4 minutes. Based on that, we will then decide, not that day, but we will then have some time to figure out who's going to move on to the final round. We'll let you know by Wednesday, basically, because then that Thursday, it is mandatory for you to go to that, the office hours. Again, we just want to make sure that you are completely ready to do the pitch competition. I'm sorry. You'll also have an opportunity to get another, some time, like an hour's worth of time for financial mentorship with Dave Kraus. I know some of you already met with him previously. And he'll help you work out some of the numbers portion for your pitch. So any questions with that? Hopefully I got that across as clear as possible. Feel free if you have still kind of confused. I know the nerves, it gets to people and then, you're like, I don't know what she said, when I'm supposed to be there. It's okay. Again, you can reach out to us if anything is unclear. Please feel free to reach out to us. We'll go ahead and put our emails in the chat. I'm sure, like I said, I know a lot of you have already communicated with Marisol at some point, but I'll put my email in there as well, just in case. And then let me see.
I'll send out an email today to the folks that were in the class today, just to clarify everything. That's a lot of information is being thrown out. So don't fret, guys. It's okay. I will definitely get that out to you.
All right. Thank you, Marisol. All right. Let me just make sure we didn't miss any questions in the chat. Let me see. Get an update. If there was anyone that was looking to let me try and remember how to speak English right now. If there was anyone that was looking to get mentorship from Dave, there you go. For the first, first 30-minute sessions, and maybe like when you try to schedule, there wasn't any availability. Please reach out to Marisol. We will figure out a time to get that situated for you. But again, that's just a 30-minute session. Moving forward, those that will be getting the extended time with Dave will be the ones moving forward with the pitch presentation. Okay. Or yeah, for the pitch competition, sorry. All right. And then Marisol, if you can do me a favor and just put your email in the chat. I know I've seen like maybe 2 people say that they were still interested.
I have a question.
Yes.
What you just mentioned, it's Kiara Harris talking. You just mentioned Dave and he helps with the financials. Is that going to be included in the pitch?
Yes. So the part that will be included in the pitch, it's going to be the TAM, SAM, and SOM that Kim went over today.
Okay, not so much the financial statements.
No.
Got
That's
it. Okay.
Yeah, that's more for you as like a business owner to understand what's happening in terms of cash flow and things like that. But for the pitch itself, you basically, because part of what it is, you want to see if the business itself is viable, right? Like if you're like, I mean, if the total market that's available, total available market, sorry, is like 20 people, that's, you might want to look for a different business, right? Or maybe there's like a feature that you need to have like a larger market, right? Because realistically, you're not going to get all of those 20 people because they're probably very loyal customers to some other businesses. So, when you're providing these numbers in the pitch, you're telling the judges basically, like, I know how many people I can get to. And a lot of the business owners on the call right now are solopreneurs, right? So you are wearing all of the hats in the business right now. However, the idea is that eventually you will think about expanding. So you're going to hire on employees, which means they're going to be able to take on some of the tasks that you are currently doing. But that is so that you can go out and get more business, right? So you just want to make sure that you have those numbers in mind, because without that, I'll just put it up like that. So yes, that's what you're going to be going over.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. And let me see. Meeting tomorrow. Okay, good. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions, but if I have missed anything, please put it in the chat and we'll go ahead and address that before class ends. So Kim, feel free to move forward.
All righty, good questions. Business model. I have said it once, I'll say it again and again and again. Your business model should not be that you alone do all the work in your business. It is completely understandable and expected that when you first start, you're not going to start with 12 employees. So you will be doing the work, but that shouldn't be the model. That's really what you want to express in this part of your plan. How does your business make money? And again, think systems, think resources. You don't want to be in a situation where the amount of money is immediately capped because you have a limited amount of capacity. How much do you plan to make? So these are the numbers where you kind of get tightened into, you had that TAM, SAM, SOM. Now let's look at, based on that business model, based on that serviceable, obtainable market, how much can I make? And that should be a very realistic number. You want to make sure that you are showing, as Jahida just said, you have a market, that market is willing to pay you, and it's a big enough market that you can sustain yourself and some employees. So we've got that. Show how you plan to make money and how much you plan to make. If you're already making money, show that as well. How much you made, what were your revenues last year? To show that this is something that you know will make money and can make more money with an investment from this pitch competition. Is that good? Questions on that?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm sorry I can't see the slides, but does that mean that our pitch should reflect our ideal business model? So I have an accountant, I have a VA, I have a website manager, I have an assistant. So that's my ideal model to delegate those tasks. So I'm including that, or am I including what the reality is based on who I can afford to pay on a regular basis today?
Your business model, this pitch presentation should not be a reflection of your org chart per se. When you're thinking about your business model, you're thinking how does the business make money and how much can the business make? And you can do a comparison if you want to say, with just myself, this is how much I made last year. With the 5 people that I want to bring on next year, this is how much I could make.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All
I
right.
have a question. So my question is, so when you're talking about the business model, and if I have more than one offer, how do so my offers include a one-on-one coaching, a group coaching, but I also have a course as well. So obviously those things can bring in different, like how do I track if I'm talking about a course? How many people would purchase that course? Do you understand what I'm asking as far as my business?
Yes. Yes. So what you just described is 3 revenue streams for your business. And you can just say that you summarize that. You have 3 revenue streams. Your target audience doesn't change for that revenue stream. Your market really doesn't change for that revenue stream. It's just how you're delivering your product or your service to that market. And you would just put your revenues if you want to break that out by revenue stream, you can, or you could just show plain and simple what your business made. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right, on to the next one. Target customer. This really is where it all begins for a business. If you haven't done the work to identify a target customer, it means you don't know a problem. You don't know if you have a real solution to that problem. You don't know how to reach that customer, so your marketing is going to be off. You don't know how to deliver to that customer because you don't quite know who they are, where they are, what they need. So really show that you know your target customer on this slide. Show that we talked in the second session, I believe, about demographics, psychographics, a nice little chart to show this is who my customer is, that buyer persona template to say, these are the things that my target customer thinks, feels, does, whatever method or graphic or presentation method you want to use to show that you know who your target customer is and you know how you're going to reach them, how you're going to let them know you exist, how you're going to hear from them, because business isn't one-sided. You need to be able to let them talk to you. That should be encapsulated on one slide. And it is all about your target customer, not about you, not about your product. Who's your person? What do they know? How do they know it? How do you know it? And all of that is in one slide. Does anybody have questions on that? I'm going to actually send this in PowerPoint format because there's links in here. So I'm going to make sure when you get it, instead of a PDF, it'll be in this PowerPoint format. There's a couple of slides that have links. So I'll make sure you get that. Does anybody have questions though? Okay.
I
Yes.
had a quick question. We can use like our actual numbers in like our actual customer information in this target customer description, right?
Exactly. Your buyer persona should represent your actual customers.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just clarifying. That's it.
Okay. Any
I'm
other
sorry, I
questions?
was still not to raise my hand. I have one. I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. You know, when we our logo, like for a capability statement, let's say, and you know, we put the clients and logos on there. Can we get in trouble for that? Especially
say
when we're
put-
sharing it out. Like even in my PowerPoint, I use like who are our clients, and I'll put logos like on my capability statement of the clients that I deal with.
Absolutely. You should.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
All right. Any other questions?
I just have a thought. I think that the end product, once we get this all developed, it can be used in multiple situations. I'm thinking about orientation for new employees. I'm thinking about target customers, and as a marketing piece almost. Am I right?
You are right. You would probably, when it comes to employees, you probably would want to expand it a little bit because, again, this is going to be comprehensive, but it needs to be brief. Timing is going to be very important. Literally, 2 seconds could knock you out of the running by going over. So you really want this to be concise. And if you're going to be using this as an onboarding tool for employees, you're probably going to want to expand on it more. But this will be a good foundation.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a question going back to the person that said, can she use other people's, logos that for like a customer? Just going off my past experience with my business, it'd probably be a good idea just to double check, just to ask, because you just don't know who everybody knows. And then getting that, confirmation is also a bonus. So just, I would just double check that before you just, use it.
If you're using that to show that you've done business with a person or with a business and you have legitimately done business with that business, I can't imagine they would not want you to use that. But yes, if you think there would be a problem, I absolutely would agree to reach out to them and use that as an opportunity to maybe even get a testimonial that to go along with that logo. Any other questions?
I do see Danielle has their hand up. Danielle, did you want to come off mute?
Yes, my question is that what would be considered my target market? I know that sometimes people ask for something specific, like age range and based off if it's kids or women or men or mothers or such. I believe I spoke to you before in regards to me pitching the idea of opening my own trichology clinic / salon. And right now, I believe that my target market is customers who are suffering from hair loss or scalp disorders. But I know that you had said in a previous class that you wanted to be for people that can be able to afford you. So I don't want to necessarily rule out kids, but there are a lot of kids that are suffering from hair loss and issues too, but it's usually their parents that are paying for the services. A lot of the times, I usually get my clients through the services that I'm already providing, which is natural hair care services. So that's how I'm able to discover, if not, they haven't already discovered that they're having these issues. Sometimes I'm the first line of defense and I'm able to point that out to them. Sometimes they're not even realizing that that's what's going on. I mean, they kind of have issues going on, but they kind of put a Band-Aid over the situation by trying to do treatments and try to put, growth oils on their hair, thinking that that's going to actually solve the problem. When 9 times out of 10 is, it's always kind of dismissed with stress, or they think it's some type of shampoo they've been using, or they haven't really been taught properly how to, manage their hair. But it's an underlying medical issue, or sometimes it's untreated scalp issues that they have going on that they didn't aware of. And I make them aware of that because I'm service them as a stylist. And then also too, along with that question, I was also struggling about how would I look for my competitors?
Well, your competitors would be, you've already identified your target market as people who have hair loss, struggling with hair loss.
So that's not a specific age range, or?
Well, you depending on the services, or excuse me, the cost of your services, you already know that it has to be a certain income level, somebody who would be willing to pay what you charge to solve that problem. When you talk about kids, remember the customer consumer, the kids might be the consumer, but the customer is still the parent. And that parent would still be the one that you would profile as part of your target customer. But you would build that out based on who you've already seen. What kind of, is it people who struggle with hair loss, who have high stress jobs that make a certain level of income, that are, what do I want to say, public facing, so they are more inclined to pay more because they spend a lot of time out in the public. So that's where you start with people who are struggling with hair loss, but really build that out. You already have customers. Think of your top 5 customers. What can you put together that is similar among those 5 customers? And build that out that way.
Yeah, I believe that my target customer is unisex, and that's how I kind of put it in terms of that, because I don't want to necessarily as predominantly women or predominantly men. I get both clients from both sides, but I think the common denominator is that they're all suffering from some type of hair loss or scalp issues. And from my knowledge, the pain that I'm trying to solve is that there is unfortunately not a lot of natural hairstylists that provide those type of services, because they're more focused on providing the service than they're actually trying to provide hair care. So the only person that I know that's in the city of Buffalo that actually is a trichologist is my hairstylist. I haven't really looked out as far as within the area of who provides hair restoration services, as far as just a trichologist standalone and not a hairstylist. So I'm not really sure where I should be looking for that information.
Well, you would, first of all, again, you want to talk to your customers. Before they came to you, they were going somewhere else. Where were they going? You've identified different things, different remedies they've tried. Who provides those remedies? Like a wig shop. Who provides the oils? You mentioned hair growth oil. Those type of things those type of entities would be considered competitors, because they're helping with that problem. But you also really want to think about the struggle part, because that's where the money is. somebody might have hair loss, but they might be fine just wearing a wig, getting a hair transplant, or wearing a hat or whatever, or rocking no hair. That's an alternative. So the struggle part is where you want to focus, and then really build that out from your target market.
Okay, and one more question. Is it possible that the cost of the service, I haven't really scaled it yet. I just, charge accordingly to the service. And I know that we've talked about, charging my worth. And I feel like I charge a decent amount for what, services I provide. But I was thinking that once I am able to establish finances where I can be able to provide, value in my services by, having more efficient equipment, like having sinks that provide hair filtration for the clients, because a lot of clients suffer from buildup from hard water, so that I could be able to get, equipment like that, or, deep conditioning, steam treatments and stuff
Hey,
like that.
Danielle.
Yes.
Danielle, sorry to cut you off. Do you want to wrap up the question just so
Yeah,
that?
I just wanted to know, like, would it be okay if I can charge my services by the hour?
If your customers will pay it. That's
Well,
really what
my
it comes
customers
down
have
to.
told me that they are willing.
Then that's your answer. Yes, you
Okay.
can.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for the questions, Danielle. Marie, I see you have your hand up. Do you want to come off mute?
Yes, thank you. So my question is regarding the pitch. So I know we're gonna be given a limited time, like a certain amount of time, 4 minutes, correct?
3 to 4 minutes, yes,
3 to
correct.
4 minutes. So my question is, when we create the slide, do we have to present it live, or can we pre-record just to make sure we meet our time limit?
No, that's a great question, actually, but it has to be live. It cannot be pre-recorded.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
No problem. All right, Kim, you can move forward.
All right. So we've talked about this before, end users and customers. Understand if you have that situation, how you're going to reach your customer, but also make sure you are using the benefit or describing the benefit to your consumer, your end user. So I won't spend any more time on that, but if you have a question about it, certainly raise your hand. The big ask. This is where we say, where's the money? You have done.
I can't find a hand again. I'm sorry.
Okay, Jaslyn, or who's speaking right now? Oh, I heard someone.
I did too.
Oh, it's me. It's Jaslyn. I'm sorry. I can't find the hand. Real quick, when it comes to okay, I'm just gonna mute up for a second. I'm sorry, this lady. I'm sorry. Forget the question. I'll just.
Okay. All right, Kim, go ahead.
Okay. You have put through all the work to assemble that whole pitch. This part is where you say, how much money can you give me? This slide should be a breakout of what you need and what you're going to do with it. And what we saw the last time is that some of the participants weren't clear in terms of what they really needed that was tied to the rest of the presentation. In other words, you do this presentation that says that you have this product, you have this kind of customer, this kind of market, this is my business model. And if I do everything that I say I'm going to do up to that point, I can make $200,000 in the year. And then on this slide, where they get to ask for the money, their ask is this big and saying, I only need $500 to buy this one piece of equipment that's gonna be great to make this new tchotchke for my customers. Don't do that. You really want to make this be the shining star of your pitch. This is where you've said, I know my target customer, I know my market, my business model is set to take this percentage of that market. These are the people I'm going to sell to because this is the product or the problem that I'm solving for them is this big. So they're going to pay me this type of money. But in order to do that, I need to scale. I need people, I need equipment, I need systems, and lay that out and say, this is how much that's going to cost. This is how much this is going to cost. You could even say, all that I need is going to cost $15,000. But with the money that you give me, your portion of it will pay for this, which is going to allow me to do a little bit more than what I'm doing right now and be able to bide some time to get the rest of that money up together. That's perfectly acceptable. But you want to make sure that this slide shows what you need, what you have, if that matters, if you have some of that, and what this investment is going to do for you. Don't be afraid to really break that stuff out, but don't overwhelm them. This is the end. This is where I also want to say, you're at the end of this presentation. Don't expand this so much that it kicks you over time and blows you out of the competition. You want to be clear, succinct, but detailed. Any questions on that?
We do have two hands up, Daddy Doyen and Lathanette. There's a third one. Let's start with Daddy Doyen. You want to come off mute?
Okay, I have two quick questions. One, should we be, when we ask, should we be aiming for one of the amounts that we were given, like the 5,000, 3,000, or 2?
So to answer that question, you would want to indicate what you could do if you were to win the $5,000. And then, like you said, if your big ask would be 20,000, then you would say your 5,000 would go towards this, but the remaining 15,000 would go towards this other stuff.
Okay. And could we present this in a budget sheet?
You can, but don't make that budget sheet so broken out that, because again, remember, you're at the end of your presentation. So if it's going to take the judges 10, 15, 30 seconds just to read through all your budget line items, you're going to knock yourself out of the competition. So use categories if that will help, but make it clear, succinct, and detailed.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Lathanette, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Okay, my question is real simple. So listening to you, Miss Kimberly, you make it sound real doable. My ask is, let's hypothetically, everybody listen, my ask is $60,000, just to hear me out. And with the $60,000, I will buy the equipment to be able to test drugs that will kill a pain for the federal government, because we don't have enough drug testing labs that test drugs, not people. Your $5,000, if I win, will help me to hire one person and get the first needle to start this business, something like that?
Yes, I would say for something like that, where your need
I didn't get
is...
an idea.
Say again?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I was going to say, when your need is so far from the prize, you say, I need 60,000 and the prize is 5,000. What I would take that next step is to just describe quickly and put it on the slide, what the benefit of that one thing you're gonna pay $5,000 for.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So that they can say, you know, yeah, $5,000. If you need 60, this $5,000 really isn't gonna help you. You wanna show, yes, it is gonna help me because this is what it's gonna buy. And this is how what that thing that I buy is gonna do for my business. This right here is gonna, what it's gonna do.
Okay, I got you. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Thanks for your question, Lathanette. All right, Shantae, you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yes, I think you just kind of answered my question. So with the $5,000, could we include, like, for me, it's going to get certified, as if I'm still in school to be a certified coach, but I still have a $3,500 balance to complete it. Could I show saying like, and once I'm certified, this will make businesses have to pay me more because now I'm certified? Like, how would I correlate that? Like, now I'm currently, because it's just me and I'm a small business owner. So now I'm currently in school to become certified, a certified grief coach. If you gave me this money, I can put this towards the paying off my balance. And then in the future, this will have the business have to pay me more because now, you know, of course, schooling, even though, you know, I think experience is over expertise, but people like you to go to school to have initials behind your name. So that will just give me more, you have to pay me more now because I'm actually internationally certified. I just don't know how to put that.
Well, here's what I would be very careful with that and how you phrase it, because my first thought would be, well, you were going to pay that $3,500 before you're already enrolled right now, right?
Yes.
So you're saying you're already going to pay that $3,500. You're going to do that whether you came to this class or not. So what, and the second thing that I would say, your conclusion that once you're certified, businesses will have to pay you more. The better way to say that is how you're going to attract a business that pays more than what the businesses are paying now. Because if you talked about earlier that these are organizations, typically nonprofit organizations that don't have very much money, you're going to want to really show how you're going to bring additional value because of that certification that will then cause businesses to pay more money for your services. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Other questions?
There's something in the chat says, what about her using the $5,000 to buy equipment she will need that is necessary once she is certified to do more? So it's just more towards what Shantae was asking.
Yeah, I mean, if there's equipment, that's absolutely something you want to show. But you also, the key is to take it a step further and show what that equipment is going to do to increase the revenue of your business.
So I can say like, because the equipment would be, I'm an author as well. My book and my journal correlate with, that's like my curriculum. So I can use that. The more books I have, the more, you know, I'm able to pass out to moms in the group. So that would be actually the equipment. I'm not sure of any other, I don't know, equipment that I would take.
If equipment doesn't apply, then I don't try to shift the business to fit the equipment need. If it doesn't need equipment, that's okay. But there's still something you can use that $5,000 for. You just have to show the resulting value of that $5,000 investment. What more are you going to be able to do that it will equal higher revenues for your business?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
But for a business like,
Lathanette?
yes.
Hold on one second. We have
go
someone
ahead.
who has their hands up. Raquel, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, so one of the questions that I had was, especially for those of us that have service related businesses, like, can you use the or ask for some of that money to pay for a service? So, for example, if I was going to go out and do like a lunch and learn at schools, which would offer additional opportunities for those schools to get to know the business or to kind of use that as a funnel to some of my other services, is that something that we can ask for, or is it more specifically to like other, like marketing or something like that?
You can certainly ask for that for the lunch and learns, like you said, but again, I would say your bigger win is going to be invest that $5,000 into something that you can show the increased value that you're able to offer. Even as a service business, if you're thinking like even a system, if you can purchase a system that will take some of the load off of you so that you then can go out and get more customers and get in front of more people, because this system is now doing what used to take you 4 hours out of your day to do. Do you see
Gotcha.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, I don't see any additional hands up. Jacqueline says, can you ask for it to help assist with multiple things such as marketing and machines or tools?
You can, if you show that, but again, I would hesitate to sprinkle it so wide that it doesn't show the impact. $5,000 is not a whole lot of money to invest in a new business. So you want to make sure you're showing that this is going to go somewhere and it's going to be invested into the part of my business where it can make the most difference. So if you're spreading it across 4 or 5 different things, is that $5,000 in those 4 or 5 different things making a big enough difference in your business? Allowing you to bring more value to your customers. Other questions?
I don't see any additional hands up just yet. Jacqueline asked, can it be used to hire? So yes.
It can. You'll have to be clear in your slide to show how $5,000 is going to pay for an employee, because that's not very much money. And you don't want to say I can pay for them for 1 month and then that's it. So you want to be clear with that, how you're going to use that in hiring someone.
Personal assistant is still the same thing, Jacqueline. You still have to pay them. Yeah, Fiverr service. I have my thoughts on Fiverr. I mean, if it's starting out and that's just, what you can afford, then obviously it's a service. But if you're thinking long-term, Fiverr is not the way to go, because what you're going to find is that you've developed your business into one thing and your branding does not remotely even, like, it just doesn't even go together with what you're currently doing. Then you have to deal with constantly changing your image to the public, which is not a good look, because it looks like you don't know what you're doing, right? Like it looks like you're not an established business. So be very careful. Again, if you're going to start out that way, that's understandable, but you want to always try and think long-term. So I'm going to ask, can it be used to help secure a location?
If you're talking about securing a location, then you're going to want to show how you're going to continue to pay for that after that $5,000 is gone. Similar to the employee, you don't want it to be something that you're only going to be able to manage for 90 days and then you're going to be struggling to figure out how to pay for it again. If you can show that this $5,000 will secure that location, but now, and once it's secured, now you're going to be able to generate more revenue. That revenue is, additional revenue is going to be able to pay for the continued use of that location. That's one thing. But just as an initial payment to get it and not be able to show how you're going to stay in it, I would not do that.
Jocelyn, I see you have your hand up. Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay. You're driving, so please be safe.
I will. What about vehicles? So I want to get another vehicle. I have 2 right now, but I of course I'm not gonna get much for 5,000. Well, I could get another beater, but can I use it as a down payment?
That goes right with the location and the employee. If you can show that you're going to be able to generate enough revenue to continue paying for it after that down payment, then I would say yes.
Okay. So like, for instance, so we work in teams. So that means that saves time, saves people from calling off because, you know, transportation issues. And what do you think about that?
And what did you say before?
I said, it saves us time and it, you know, people have transportation. We're working teams. So we, you know, we save time and it also prevents people from missing work because they got to ride to work.
Yeah, the benefit of the additional vehicle is clear. The question is, can you show that you'll be able to pay for it after that initial $5,000 down payment? Because again, they don't want to just, sorry.
Would I show them to, would I, like, based on what I'm making now or based on what I'm making after I get the new vehicle?
You would show
Because
that
right now I
as
can show. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say what you would do is show that as a result of this new vehicle, this is the increase in revenue because it's, if you think about it like this, they're saying, we'll give you 5,000, you get this vehicle. Now you have a vehicle payment along with the insurance and all the other fees and maintenance that goes along with it. We don't want to put you in a position where you are now struggling or you go out of business because now you can't maintain that payment. You want to be able to show that I got this vehicle, now I have an increase in revenue. Because if you keep the same revenue you had, you're going to be at a loss because now you've got an additional payment. So you have to show in this single slide and in your presentation of that slide, that this new vehicle is going to give us an increase in revenue that will pay that payment and also add more revenue to our books. Does that make sense?
I see the thumbs up, so yes, it
I'm
makes.
sorry, yes, it does. Thank you so much.
No, you're good.
I probably won't use the vehicle. I'll probably use a piece of equipment that I really need.
Mhm.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure.
All right, anyone else? Jacqueline, I know you put in the chat, can it be like secure summer vending places and pop-up shops? I'm assuming that would be similar to what Kim mentioned earlier, but Kim?
You said pop-up shops and what?
To secure summer vending places and pop-up shops.
If you are able to show that these summer venues currently bring in a certain level of revenue, and that by securing additional ones, you will get additional revenue, then I would say yes. But if you haven't seen, if it's sort of like speculation, and you think, okay, if I can get some pop-up things that'll generate more revenue, that's probably not going to be a big win. Others?
Okay, she says, thank you.
Sure.
I don't see any other hands up or any questions in the chat. I just want to stop for a quick second and let everyone know that the link to sign up for the pitch competition is in the chat right now. So take a quick second, copy that, or just click on it and it'll open up in a new browser window. If you're intending on participating in the pitch competition, go ahead and sign up. If you do not sign up and you just show up intending to present the pitch, it will not happen. So go ahead and click the link. I don't want to be blunt, but that's just what it is, right? We have to call a spade a spade. So go ahead and click the link if you would like to present in the pitch competition. I'll go over this again just one more time. Basically, by tomorrow morning, you will have the pitch slides up in the Google Drive folder. You can go ahead and use those slides and edit them with your business information. Or you can use any other slides, any other pitch deck that, either I know Jaslyn mentioned that she could share what she has. Canva is actually a really good resource just for you to get some ideas. Again, you can design them however you'd like. Feel free, you want to present your business in the best light, right? So just make sure that whatever makes you feel comfortable. But the only thing I do ask is that you please incorporate the information we went over today, because we will be judging you based on that information. So if you decide that you didn't understand TAM, SAM, and SUM, and you're just going to leave it out, you're already starting with less points than anybody else that's participating in the competition. So that's number one. Number two, Thursday is this Thursday, which is, I don't know what date it is. 11, 12, 13th, the 13th of April. Thank you. So the 13th of April is not mandatory, but it is highly recommended, because that is where you are going to present your pitch, right? You're going to present your pitch. You're going to go through your slides. Kim is going to provide you with feedback on how you can make it even better. That's number two. Number three, next Tuesday, anyone that has signed up for the pitch needs to come to class virtually, obviously, with your pitch deck completed, and you will be assigned a position of when you're gonna pitch, right? So as we've been on this call the last 5 weeks, we'll, let's say Jaslyn's signing up. We're gonna say, Jaslyn, you're, pitch number 3, and we'll let you know. So we'll time you. We'll go through everything based on what pitch is provided on Tuesday. We will reach out to everyone by Wednesday evening, letting them know if they've moved on to the final round or not. I'd also like to say, if you do not move on to the final round, do not be discouraged. It is not the end of the road. On here that were doing pitches last year as well. Some of them made it to the final round and still came. Some of them didn't and still came. So this is just an opportunity to continuously improve yourself, your business. So please do not take it as, any kind of failure, because just you're here. So you are not failing. Get cut off, sorry. But so that's that. Like I said, so next Thursday, which I don't know the date. If anyone has a calendar date, please feel free to shout it out.
20th.
Thank you, the 20th. That Thursday is mandatory. So for those that are moving on to the final pitch competition, we will let you know by next Wednesday. And that Thursday, that following day, you need to be on Thursday call so that you can then go to the final round, which is the 25th. We'll get an email out to everyone tomorrow midday, just going over this again, because I know it's a lot of information, a lot of days and stuff like that, but just wanted to reiterate that Right now, we're thinking that 10 participants are going to be moving on to the final round. We may stray from that number slightly, 1 or 2, but I'm gonna go with I highly doubt it because it is very like, we have all the time accounted for. So that's that. Let me just see if there's any other questions. Space, thank you. Is this the only pitch? Currently, this is the only cohort that has a pitch competition attached to it. That may change in the future, but so far for 2023, that's what we're seeing. First, and the pitch, it is, or I'm sorry, the sign up, it does only ask for your first and last name. So there's nothing wrong with the form. You're okay. I know that's rare for all of the other forms we put out. So you're okay. And the pitch competition only, the pitch competition is only open to participants who, 1, attended today's class, and also overall from the beginning till today have attended at least 3 out of the 5 classes that we've done so far. So if you joined today's class, and you've never joined any of the classes in this session, thank you for coming today, but no, you cannot participate in the pitch competition. Let's see, how many are moving on to the next round? So we're thinking 10. Pitch competition. Okay, I've answered all the questions. And then Kim is just gonna mention this quick 1-minute pitch, and then we can all go home.
All right, so this is an example of a 1-minute pitch. And I want you to really listen to how she wraps it all up into a nice bow and gets you really inspired to dig into your pocket and give her money. So I'm gonna have to share a different screen. So let me stop this share and start this share. And get past this ad. Start my Zoom over here. Share sound. And share. Skip ad. Oops, skip trial. Hold on, it's a 1-minute pitch, so it's fast.
Jasmine Crow.
Can everybody hear that?
Hi, Yep.
All right, here we go.
My name is Jasmine Crow, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Gooder, a sustainable food waste management company leveraging technology to combat hunger. Our blockchain-enabled mobile and web apps allow our clients that include restaurants, hotels, schools, catering companies, and convention centers to redirect their surplus food to organizations that feed people that are food insecure. Gooder is solving the food logistics problem. Our technology automates and manages the surplus food supply chain process and allows businesses to track and account for their donations. Since our humble beginnings in January of this year, our clients now include Turner Broadcasting Systems, Andretti's Indoor Karting and Games, and the world's busiest airport right here in Atlanta, ATL. We've recovered over 75,000 pounds of prepared foods and saved our clients over $700,000. At Gooder, our mission is simple: feed more, waste less. And we don't just have a dream, we have a plan. I'm inviting you to join us and do Gooder. Thank you.
That is it. So everybody's ready to pitch now, right? Yay. It's a very simple, nothing to be worried about. You have all the answers. It's just sliding it into 7 or 8 pages and being as engaging as you can possibly be. Don't be nervous, Daddy. You got it. Just remember timing, problem solution, and numbers. You get those 3 things right, you got it. Any questions? No questions. Everybody's ready. I love it.
I think we're good. There you go, Daddy Doyen. Yes. Please join Thursday's office hours. Again, not mandatory, highly recommended. Attend with your pitch deck prepared. Hopefully you would have practiced your pitch multiple times. Put a timer on. You'd be surprised how quick 3 to 4 minutes goes by and you haven't even gotten through half of your pitch. Trust me, I've done it myself. So go ahead and start timing yourself. Do little index cards, little notes for yourself if that's what makes you get through the information better. But for any of you who have, whether it's a laptop or a phone, however you want to do it, record yourself while you're doing it. That's a good tool to do as well, or a good tip. I'm sorry. Because you can see what is happening, right? So you are basically going to see what everyone on the call is going to see. So if you're just looking down on the cards, they're going to see that, which is also not good. Daddy Doyen mentioned, the presenter in that 1 minute pitch, she had her smile down packed, right? You want to make sure that you're engaging with the audience as well. So just practice, practice, practice. And when you go on Thursday, you'll be able to get some really good constructive feedback on how to make your pitch even better. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your patience. We are 7 minutes over, but we hope we hope to see you Thursday. That's what I'll say. At this point, my brain is mush. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night. Night.
Someone asked about the link. It is a different link for office hours, but it is in your meeting invite.
Email.
All right. Good night.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Good night. See you Thursday.
Bye, everyone.